Please just return it.
Born Sky Elijah Metalwala, September 6, 2009, Bellevue, Washington, U.S. Disappeared November 6, 2011, age 2, Bellevue, Washington. Status missing for 13 years, 8 months, and 1 day. Sky's Metalwala's parents were immigrants to the United States. Solomon Metalwala is originally from Pakistan. Julia Bervokov is a Ukrainian born in Soviet Russia. She later claimed to have been subjected to shock therapy in mental hospitals during her childhood as punishment, in addition to regular disciplinary beatings by her parents with serious negative effects on her self esteem. As a result, Solomon had been running a convenience store in Bellevue, Washington when the two met in 1997. Julia met her future husband at age 15, 3 years after immigrating from Russia. At the time, she was a student at Bellevue High School. Solomon, then 21, invited her to a party, and the two began dating. Julia took up a job at a restaurant his family owned in the Pioneer Square neighborhood of Seattle. By 1999, when she finished high school, she was neutralized. The couple bought a condominium in Bellevue. While Julia and Solomon enjoyed work and many leisure activities together, there was some friction between them. Police in Kirkland were called when the couple were seen arguing loudly at a local gas station over their plans for the evening. The man gave his name as Suleiman Medawala, supposedly Solomon's brother. Julia later told a clinical psychiatrist that by this point she had learned that her boyfriend could be very controlling and she had become emotionally dependent on him in turn. Nevertheless, in 2003, she married him in a brief ceremony in his mother's kitchen. Later, she said his family gave her a choice of either doing so or never seeing him again, since they claimed he was facing imminent deportation for reasons that are unknown. Julia later claimed that she did not tell her own family the real reason the two had wed until 2010. Damn. In 2005, Solomon converted to Christianity. He and his wife began attending a church in Kirkland. Jill believed that her in laws blamed her for this, straining their relationship with her and causing more problems in their marriage. Within 2 years, they were experiencing financial problems as well when a competing deli opened next to their restaurant and began cutting into their earnings. Daughter Melier, their first child, was born in 2007. Business further decline in the Great Recession that began in 2008. Despite those setbacks, the two bought a home in Kirkland that year for over $800,000, in addition to a mortgage payment they still had to make on their Bellevue condominium. Sky was born in 2009. A psychiatrist, Julia Saul, prescribed her antidepressants while she was pregnant, although she said she did not need them. By then, lenders were beginning to foreclose the family properties, and they were in arrears on many of their bill. They were forced to move out of the Kirkland home and into a smaller Bellevue residence. Solomon claimed in later court papers that at this time Julia began exhibiting psychological problems, causing him to begin eating outside and sleeping on the floor to comply with her obsession with keeping the condominium clean. The board cited the couple several times for violating noise regulations. At one point, they awoke their neighbors with vacuuming after 11 p.m. Julia, in turn, alleged that Solomon became controlling and angry. When Sky was 2 months old, his parents left him alone in their car in a Target parking lot for almost an hour on a day when the outdoor temperature was 27 degrees Fahrenheit, -3 Celsius. Both parents were arrested after police had them paged to their car and charged with reckless endangerment. The Metawalas claimed they had been inside only for 20 minutes and did not want to wake the child, but the store's security camera video footage disproved them. They agreed to take a parenting class. Charges were dropped several years later. On Julia's 29th birthday in early 2010, she was briefly committed to a mental hospital for the first 3 times. After telling Solomon she had dreamed of killing the children, there she was diagnosed with severe obsessive compulsive disorder, OCD. However, psychiatrists did not believe that rendered her unfit to parent a child, and she would later denied that she had been so diagnosed. Shortly after she got out, Solomon filed for divorce. After the couple separated, Julia texted her husband claiming to have suicidal ideations, which she later claimed she had done just to get his attention. Upon her third commitment, she was found to have global assessment of functioning score of 15, suggesting she was a danger to herself and others. It had improved to 40, meaning slight impairment. By the time she was released, after that release, Solomon and his brother took Julia to the University of Washington Medical Center, where she was checked in voluntarily. While she was there, their lender foreclosed on the condominium. Solomon moved with the children to his parents' home in Kirkland. The couple vigorously contested the divorce. Julia alleged in her filings that Solomon had been abusive and that she feared for her life. Solomon claimed that the allegations were fabricated and said Julia's mental problems made her unstable, incapable of keeping food in the house or letting her children sleep in beds due to her OCD. Child Protective Services investigated a claim that Solomon had injured his daughter, but ruled it unfounded. Nevertheless, Solomon was prohibited from seeing his children for a year while the case was investigated. At different times in the case, both spouses sought protection orders against each other. In September 2010, the court awarded Julia full custody of both the children. She refused to let them see Solomon, who did not have any visitation rights. Solomon continued to press the issue in court, along with some other issues, such as property they both owned. Julia offered to forego alimony and child support if he let her move to Arizona with the children, but he refused. These disputes continued for over a year. In November 2011, the court hearing the case ordered the couple into a week of meditation to resolve their mediation to resolve their issues. The session was reportedly a success, with the two eventually agreeing that Julia would have custody of both children, while Solomon had full visitation. However, on November 3rd, shortly after their agreement that had been signed, Julia called her lawyer and saying she had felt pressured into the session, decided to void it. According to Julia, on the morning of November 6, 2011, Sky woke up sick in their Redmond apartment. She had said she put him and his sister in the car. She was driving at the time a silver 1998 two-door Acura Integra. She headed to the Overlake Medical Center in Bellevue. Julia later stated that around the 2600 block of 112th Avenue Northeast in that city, a long section of the roads that follows a tall concrete noise barrier around the curve of the Washington State Route 520 Expressway just west of its interchange with interchange 405, her car ran out of gas. Julia parked the car on the side of the road. She said she left Sky strapped into his car seat inside while she took Mally to find assistance. Reaching a Chevron station a mile north of where she parked an hour later, instead of buying gas or asking someone to bring it to her car, she called a friend who came and picked her up and gave her a ride back to her car. Julia said that when she returned, she discovered that Sky was gone. She called police and reported him missing, then in turn contacted Solomon before noon that day. Searchers combed a 20-block radius of the car but found nothing. Police soon came to doubt Julia's account. Her car was tested, proved to have adequate fuel in its tank and operated normally. And the hours she spent wandering the neighborhood before reaching the gas station, she apparently made little effort to seek help from residents. Julia had left her home with a purportedly sick child, but not taken her wallet, purse, or phone. No gas can was found in the car. When questioned further about these discrepancies, Julia invoked her Fifth Amendment rights and refused to take a lie detector test. She did, however, give investigators permission to search her car, her computer, and her home. There was no sign of Sky at the near or latter location. Her car was unlocked and did not show any signs of forced entry. Police searched Solomon's house as well and found nothing. After a lie detector test he took the night after the disappearance proved inconclusive, Solomon took another one the next day, although neither he, his attorney, nor the police shared the results with the public. Police who learned about the 2009 incident where Julia and Solomon had been arrested after leaving Sky in their car unattended. During the investigation, both parents admitted to having left the child by themselves for long periods of time. Detectives would not confirm whether, according to some reports, Julia had done so during the lengthy mediation hearing the week before Sky went missing. There were some questions about whether Sky had even been in the car that morning to begin with. Motorists who had passed the parked Acura did not report seeing anything unusual, not even a child in it. At Julia's apartment complex in Redmond, neighbors said she and her children rarely went out, and none of them had seen Sky for at least 2 weeks. Solomon was unaware of anyone having seen his son other than his ex-wife since an April doctor visit. However, Mally told the police that Sky had indeed been in the car that morning. The theory that Sky's disappearance might have been arranged by Julia drew more criticism when police learned of strong coincidences between her story and a recent aired episode of popular NABC crime drama Law and Order. In the episode titled Missing Pieces, a young couple claims their baby son has been abducted when their parked car was stolen, and this later learned that they buried the boy, believing they accidentally killed him, and made up the abduction as a cover story. Okay. I knew that there were several folks up in the operations center and commended post The Hat took it at that episode. Major Mike Johnson of the Bellevue Police told reporters and have commented that it is strikingly similar in nature, though his attorney Solomon told people that Law and Order was his wife's favorite show. Julia's presence on the internet also aroused interest. On her Facebook page, she had posted many pictures of Mali, but almost none of Sky. During the previous month, she had also posted a profile to SeekingArrangements.com, a dating website for women seeking sugar daddies, wealthy men willing to support a younger woman financially as part of a romantic relationship. She saw financial stability as well as 3 to 5,000 cash per month. Investigators stated publicly that they did not believe Julia's story and suspected criminal activity that occurred. However, they did not formally describe her as a prime suspect or person of interest, nor did they charge her with child endangerment. Despite the circumstances of the case and her past arrest, along with her then husband for leaving Sky in the car unsupervised. This decision not to do so, they said later, was a strategic decision in order to secure a conviction. Police and prosecutors would have to prove that they believe Julia did in fact leave her son alone in the vehicle for an unreasonable length of time. But if evidence later emerged suggesting Sky had been murdered or kidnapped, that implication his mother in some captivity. Evidence that suggests that he had never been in the car to begin with, arresting her on charges that she had indeed left him. There could make prosecution for more serious charges impossible. Later, Solomon's lawyer told the Seattle Weekly another reason for the inaction. If police did arrest Julia, she and her attorney would be able to review all the evidence and police had accumulated up to that point, which neither they nor Solomon wanted her to be able to do. 2 weeks after Sky's disappearance, Julia finally discussed the case with the media. NBC News obtained an email address that her relatives said was hers and used it to contact her. She reiterated that she had no idea where the child was and called her ex-husband a sadistic Muslim Pakistani who was not telling the truth himself about the case itself. She said her lawyer had instructed her not to discuss it anymore. She ignored a specific question about whether she had indeed run out of gas that morning. ABC News was unable to confirm whether it was indeed Julia who had responded to them, as she was known to be staying with relatives at the time. However, Solomon told them it sounded to him like the way she would have talked. Obviously, she's just trying to maybe get me kind of riled up, he said. After reviewing the emails, ABC News shared them with the Bellevue police, who could not comment on them but believed they might be some value to their case. The Washington State Department of Social and Health Services removed Mally from Julia's home in the wake of her brother's disappearance and placed her into foster care. Solomon was granted twice weekly visitation while petitioning the court hearing the divorce to grant him custody. When it did, after removing the remaining protection order, the divorce was granted in January 2012. In 2015, the case's fourth anniversary, Bellevue's new police chief, Steve Maylett, appealed publicly to Julia to talk to them again. "I am convinced you hold the key to finding Sky," he said in a local newspaper. While the previous year, the department said it had exhausted all the leads that had been reported to it. And that time, Maylett claimed Solomon had shared some unspecified new information with them that might prove useful. Images of Sky that had been digitally aged progressed to show how he might appear at the time were disputed along with the original photos. Around the time of the fourth anniversary of Sky's disappearance in 2015, it was reported that Julia had not only remarried in the previous year, but had borne her third child by her new husband, Alan Morgan. In July, DSHS workers were trying to have the infant removed from her care. DSHS was most concerned about Julia's mental health, given her OCD diagnosed, past hospitalizations following a complaint from the reason who delivered the child. They also found Morgan a convicted felon problematic. Authorities in Florida had taken a child from Morgan's home there. The month the two were married, Julia reported Morgan to the Redmond police for allegedly assaulting her and was granted a no contact order. She nevertheless visited him regularly in jail in Issaquah, where he was with when where he was when she gave birth under assumed names. Both claimed to investigators they did not live together despite giving them the same address. Julia said at one point she did not even know who the father was, even though Morgan's name was on the child's birth certificate. In February 2019, Julia testified in court that Morgan had violated the no contact order. She acknowledged that she was not allowed to be alone with her new son without Absorber present. Bellevue police spokesperson Seth Taylor said, "We do believe she knows where Sky is." She refused to talk to the press after the court appearance. 2 years later, Julia was arrested by Richmond police for shoplifting charge. She continued to refuse to speak to the Bellevue police about her son's disappearance. On the 10th anniversary, the Bellevue police released an updated flyer with Sky now showing age discretion to 12. They again asked Julia to come in and talk to them, say that they had spent $2.5 million investigating the case over the past decade and followed up on 2,500 tips.